This video will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't read the manga up until now, stop the video and come back later. However, if you don't mind being spoiled, be my guest. There hasn't been any story arc within Berserk that didn't entertain me. Nothing felt like a filler. Everything within the Black Swordsman arc made me gasp for more. And the Golden Age arc was as close to perfection as possible. The Conviction arc, starting with the Lost Children chapter, was absolutely captivating. The Millennium Falcon arc finally showed me that Berserk was indeed the most epic tale I have ever read in my entire life. And then finally, there was the Fantasia arc. And that is to say, it is not my favorite arc of the story, but it delivered my most favorite chapter of them all. We will talk about everything from chapter 347 up to 355. So let's talk about the journey into Casca's mind, as this chapter is basically a reminiscence of the story so far, but from Casca's perspective. When the group of Guts and his companions arrive at Skellig, the Empress of Elfhelm already awaits them. Just by her appearance, Schierke knows pretty fast that this must be the Flower Storm Monarch. The ruler of the elves tells them to simply call her Denon instead of the Flower Storm Monarch, and she gets straight to the point by asking Guts if he'd like to restore Casca's mind. She tells them about the Corridor of Dreams and that it is pretty likely that they are able to bring her back to her senses. However, Guts cannot accompany their journey into Casca's dreams because she fears him. So he basically has to trust Schierke and Farnese to bring her back. Denon tells Schierke and Farnese that they'll enter Casca's dreams and that dreams are part of the astral world. But the rules within dreams are made by the mind of the dreamer, so they will have to learn those rules. They place themselves onto the magic mushroom bed, as their spiritual energy drawn from the cherry tree's roots will lure them into a dream state. Instead of entering Casca's dream, Schierke finds herself in her own dream at first. Her dream seems innocent and quite childlike. She opens a door and stumbles right into Farnese's dream. There we are witness to a vision of how Farnese regards herself. She's the caretaker of the group. We see her washing laundry, but the pieces of clothing are reflections of the members of the group. They show her gratitude for her service and she seems pretty happy. Schierke appears and takes her hand, and finally she leads them into Casca's dream. By the way, if you want to experience Casca's dream in the best way possible, you need to have a look at the Berserk Deluxe Editions 13 and 14. Fortunately for us Europeans, there's Walt's comic shop. So if you're based in Europe and you want to get into the world of Berserk, you definitely have to check them out. And with the code COSMICCOMICCORNER, you will receive free shipping for every first order above 40 euros. Now let's go back into Casca's dream. At first, they only scratch the surface, which reflects Casca's mind as it is right now. A childlike place that, just like Schierke's dream, remembers us of innocence. They are then guided by Denon's blossoms deeper into Casca's consciousness. They arrive at a place, a dark wasteland, bleak and empty. A field of tattered black banners lies in front of them. The only source of light comes from a black sun. This setting already seems like a reminiscence of the aftermath of the eclipse. Far away they can see a mountain, which appears to them as if it was made out of needles. Right when they are about to start the journey to find Casca within this wasteland, they can spot an impaled dog in the distance. He has a collar on his neck and pulls a coffin with an iron chain attached to it. On that coffin is the symbol of the Band of the Hawk. The dog itself is missing his left foreleg and his right eye, and all of a sudden it is attacked by what appear to be tattered banners. Now they resemble bats. But not only bats, we are also reminded of Femto. They impale the dog with their black spears. The spears pierce right through the dog and make him cough blood. Schierke and Farnese help the dog and chase the demonic creatures away. They are helped by their magic fetishes. Schierke then continues by letting the spears that pierce the dog disappear. She realizes the brand of sacrifice on his neck and tells Farnese that this is Guts as he exists in Casca's dream. They open the coffin and find a broken doll. At second glance they realized that the broken doll is Casca, and within her is a tiny little person, a small fragment of Casca's former self. She's afraid at first, but seems to bond with Farnese in no time. Once again we are witness of the childlike innocence. To secure her safety, they put her right back into the broken doll and close the coffin. They continue their journey all together and find a campfire that reveals to them a memory of Casca that shows guts right on that hill where he talked about the bonfire of dreams. Or should we call it campfire of dreams? Anyway, they see Guts as they've never known him. And not only do they see him, but they feel what Casca felt in this very moment. The memory fades and what remains is a little shard. They open the coffin and let the dog put the shard right into it, only to reveal that this is a fragment of the doll, and therefore a fragment of Casca's mind. It is instantly attached to the doll and it seems to repair it. Schierke realizes that to restore Casca's mind, they have to find all the fragments of the broken doll. So this is the rule they have to play by. The shadowy creatures in the sky are subsequently back and attack them from above. Schierke's magical fetishes she brought along from her own dream are there to guard them. In the distance they see a sword and a helmet that blend into another memory the first time Casca fights against Guts. Another fragment is revealed to them. They stumble upon the memory of her first encounter with Griffith, where he saved her from violation by offering her a sword to defend herself. Farnese experiences Casca's feelings towards Griffith and realizes that they are the same feelings she evolved towards Guts after he saved her. They witness memories of the rise of the Band of the Hawk, Guts fighting 100 men to save her, and his departure from the group where he has his duel with Griffith. They experience how Casca evolves feelings towards Guts. More of the past is being recalled for every fragment they can gather. Meanwhile, the demons that attack them become bigger and stronger. Schierke now knows for sure that the mountain of needles with the black sun above that resembles an eye in the sky is their terminus. The dense miasma that it is surrounded by seems to reflect the thing that shattered Casca's mind. By this time, the doll is almost repaired completely by the fragments they found in the wasteland. The tiny little person inside the doll that resembles Casca's innocent childlike state of mind tells Schierke and Farnese that there's someone she wants to see. They enter the miasma and find themselves in a forest of thorns big enough to impale human bodies, which is exactly what they find along the way. Tiny Casca is now carried by Farnese as she no longer wishes to be inside of the coffin. Subsequently, they are attacked by giant phallic creatures that pretty much look like a fusion of the male genital and insects. Schierke's golem fights them alongside other magical creatures she can evoke. More demonic entities are coming for them, all abstractions of the male genitalia. Now it's up to Farnese to call upon her magical fetishes to save the group. They continue to carry the coffin up on the mountain to find the final fragment at the top of it. Suddenly the sky darkens and a colossal shadow flies above them. The dog starts barking right before the creature attacks. It is clear that this is an abstraction of Femto created by Casca's mind. In front of them spawn creatures that remind us exactly of the ones being present at the eclipse. Schierke throws all of her fetishes into battle to stop their attack. Meanwhile, Femto catches the coffin and pulls it into the air, with Guts still being attached to it. Right after Femto lets go of the coffin, high in the sky, aiming for its destruction on impact, Farnese realizes that she can control the wind, calling upon Serpico. A magical fetish that reflects Serpico manipulates the wind to stop the coffin and the dog from falling to the ground. Finally, the Berserker armor escapes from Farnese's back and rushes towards the dog. Now we see the abstraction of Guts and the armor reunited, ready to enter into blind rage and fight the demonic apostles as well as Femto. Schierke and Farnese run for the final fragment to make the doll whole again. Running out of protective measures, one final memory slips from Schierke's head to reveal Flora, her beloved mistress. She tells Schierke that she told her that they can meet again within dreams, and she continues to say that she's proud of her. She transforms into a sea of flames, destroying all creatures between them and the final fragment. The final fragment is revealed by a deformed fetus, the child of Guts and Casca, that has been corrupted by the violation of his mother. This is the missing part responsible for breaking Casca's mind, and so finally they witness the eclipse. The fragment coming out of the memory is a beating heart wrapped in thorns. Schierke realizes that this heart may be cursed. They don't know what will happen if they return it to the doll. When Casca would get back control of her memory and her sanity at the same time, it could mean unimaginable agony for her. Time runs out as the creature reflecting Femto appears above them in the sky. The dog attacks again to save them. Farnese says that she's the one that will drive away her darkness, and she puts the heart right into the doll, which is instantly repaired and whole again. Above her chest, right under the brand of sacrifice, is a tiny door where Casca's remaining part of herself enters the doll and ends her dream. These chapters let us see what happened, but from Casca's perspective. We witness that her mind shut down right after the eclipse to protect her from confronting the agonizing pain she would have to face. It tells us about her trauma and shows us in an abstract depiction how she sees the world on the inside. Guts is being reflected by the image of a dog, loyal and caring, but at the same time devastated through the burden of their bond. His body shows severe injuries, but he carries on to pull the coffin in which Casca's innocence resides through the wasteland. It tells the story of dragging something along, something that is long gone. In this case, it also reflects the passing of the Band of the Hawk, and the only one besides Rickard who is left is Casca, or at least what's left of her. When we think about coffins and their meaning in dreams, we will most certainly stumble upon the meaning of repressed emotions. And we are also being reminded of Hachiko. Hachiko was a Japanese Akita dog, and it embodied the meaning of loyalty. Hachiko would wait for his owner at Shibuya Station every day, and he continued to do so even after his owner's passing. There are many possible meanings behind Casca's dream and the coffin, but what it most definitely reflects is absolute loyalty. It's an abstraction of Casca's body, and therefore it's also a cage she's locked up in. After the eclipse, she's left completely incapacitated, and if it wasn't for Guts, she'd been long gone. Against all odds, he saves her and continues to guard her no matter what happens to him. When they are being attacked, he is indeed the mad dog, which is what she called him so long ago. But now, this mad dog is the only thing that keeps her alive. Instead of fighting for nothing, he's fighting for her, loyal until the end. He has become her guardian, while almost destroying himself beyond the point of no return, reflecting the love and loyalty a dog evolves for its owner. The creatures, especially guarding the final fragment, speak volumes about the trauma Casca has lived through. The violation of her was too much to bear, and so her mind shut down and shut out her memories. Everything within her dream is an abstraction of what has happened in reality. To be honest, there were a lot more shocking chapters within the story, and definitely some where you couldn't even tell where they would lead. What comes to mind, for example, is Mosge's Inquisition Chamber in chapter 135. And of course we have to mention the goat. And then there's still everybody's favorite apostle, Walt. Okay, to be completely honest with you, I loved every chapter Walt was part of. And when we mention traumatic experiences within the world of Berserk, we definitely have to call out Farnese's traumatic night as well. But the point I wanted to make is that this is definitely not the most shocking chapter. And to be fair, it was even kind of predictable, but any page within this chapter pulled me deeper inside. I mean, at this point the story has been going on for over 3 decades. Casca was left incapacitated in 1996 and her sanity was restored in 2018. So we actually waited 22 years for this to happen. So looking back at pivotal points of the story evoke quite the nostalgia. The concept of restoring Casca's mind by traveling through her dreams and catching a recollection of memories from a different point of view definitely struck a nerve. The psychological effect trauma can have on the human spirit is depicted in a way that reflects real-life cases of PTSD almost to a point that is terrifying. It's a descent into darkness while offering tiny moments of light and hope, something the whole story has been about from the beginning. Right after Casca awakes from her dream, she cannot remember everything. The eclipse is still muddled and she only recalls setting out to rescue Griffith. But when being asked if she remembers Guts, she smiles and has tears in her eyes. When she finally stands in front of him though, her memory of the eclipse returns and she breaks down. So we haven't seen Guts and Casca reunited yet, and it remains to be seen if they will even get back together after everything that has happened. What is safe to say is that Casca's mind is restored, her memory is back again, and a huge part of the story has come to an end. It will be interesting to see where the story leads from here. I suggest that they will slowly start to build towards an epic endgame. But that is just an assumption. I'd love to know what chapter of Berserk is your favorite and what you thought of Casca's dream. Was it too predictable or did you enjoy it from beginning to end? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today and I'll see you next time.